edition of Monterey's Cooking Pisto Style is brought to you by the Monterey County Vintners and Growers Association.
Hi, welcome to Monterey's Cooking. I'm John Pisto, and I've got a special guest all the way from, actually, I was going to say Puget Sound, which is right,
That's
but
right,
Olympia Peninsula, Paul Stamets. Paul is a world authority on mushrooms, folks, especially the domesticated ones. Okay, you know all mushrooms are wild at one point, and they've been domesticated and become a very major food source. Paul is also the author of Growing Gourmet and Medical Mushrooms. World authority here, folks. Really, Paul, really pleased to have you.
It's a great honor to be here.
Real proud
Thank you,
to
John.
have you with us. Right. Paul, you cultivate these mushrooms. You do the spores. You make the I forget the term for the medium where they're grown in. I mean, you do the whole thing. Is that correct?
Right. It's a kind of a long and complicated process, but the most important thing for your viewers is that now there's a wide variety of exotic mushrooms available on the market. And we have mushroom kits, and lots of gourmet shops are selling a wide selection of mushrooms of which weren't available before. And we're going to show you how to cook a few.
Okay, now, you know I like to go out and collect them in the wild. This is an easy way. And, you know, I've ordered one of all of these. I'm going to have them in my atrium. Now, in case I can't go out hunting, I go hunting in my atrium. And I can get them there. But, folks, you don't, I mean, look at these mushrooms. These are, Paul, explain what these are. These are getting so excited.
Okay, we brought down 3 species. We cultivated about 30 species. We have about 200 species currently under development.
Holy smokes.
But these are 3 of our favorites. And this is shiitake here. And
okay, now these we all know these. These are
Right.
fairly common now.
Right.
Within the last, what, 5 years
Right.
maybe or so?
And this is growing on sawdust. And the mushroom mycelium initially is white. The mushroom mycelium is kind of like the plant, so to speak, and the mushrooms are
the fruit.
the fruit. And then the mushroom mycelium, when it grows over the sawdust, eventually turns brown and then produces mushrooms. We also have maitake mushrooms.
Wow, look at these. Now, there's the common name for this is
Hen of the woods.
Hen of the wood. Now, this is the one David's friend sent us from Boston. It was in a banana box.
They can become very large in nature. They can become huge in nature.
The biggest is, what, 30 pounds or so?
I've seen them up to 50 pounds.
They almost eat you.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
And then we have lion's mane, also known as bear's head. And this one is
Jesus, look at that.
produces icicle-like spines and has a lobster shrimp flavor
Whoa.
to it. So it's very, very delicious.
That's incredible. I mean, just think of it, folks. This is the kit, and there's instructions. I've grown these before, by the way, and they are real easy. Just a matter of just, it's in a plastic bag. You pour the water in it, and you put it in a special spot in the house, and just wait for it to grow, and then they start popping. You keep harvesting, cooking them fresh like that. Just incredible. I mean, schools should try these for the children to let them see how this stuff really, really grows. It's just amazing, Paul. Very, very, very impressive. Paul, if people wanted to order these, how would they go about doing it?
Okay, there's a number of companies beside my own that also sell mushroom kits. We are certified organic, and we have an 800 number. If people want to order them with a MasterCard or Visa, they're welcome to do so.
Good.
I can give you that number if you wish.
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay.
Absolutely. I want people to do that, especially here. Folks, come on, you got to get into this.
Okay, it is 800-780-9126. And all of our kits are guaranteed, and then we have a great customer service line. If anybody has any questions, we'll be glad to help them.
Now, I'm really interested in the medicinal mushrooms that you're growing now. You're growing a lot of this for the extracts you were telling me earlier.
Right.
And now, I mean, there's some things that I know the Chinese have been growing this one for years, and they've been using that for high blood pressure and cancer. And I mean, we're just discovering this, aren't we?
Exactly. It's a pretty amazing story. The line between gourmet and medicinal mushrooms has now been blurred, and virtually all gourmet mushrooms can be considered as being medicinal. The FDA has now classified mushrooms as healthy foods. They have no fat and no cholesterol, but they are potent immune stimulators, and they're strong antiviral compounds in mushrooms, so they're very, very good for you.
I kind of knew that all the time. No wonder I just gravitated to these. That's amazing.
Very good.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, that's really interesting. My gosh. When we come back, we're going to cook some of Paul's favorite mushroom dishes. Okay, Paul, now you told me there's a special way to cut these.
Okay, we're going to have fun with fungus here.
Fun with fungus. Oh, okay.
You need to cut the mushrooms flush to the block, okay? So cut them at the base of the stem and just cut them off. And
Right.
this is a perfect specimen,
Beautiful.
a number 1 as we would call it.
Yes, it is.
And shiitake is unusual in that the stems are too tough to eat by themselves. So we typically trim off the stems and then we cut the mushrooms, or you can just go ahead and break them off. But don't throw away the stems because they're great for soup stock. So save the stems and boil some water and make some soup stock later on.
Okay.
It's really, the stems are delicious.
we're
Okay,
gonna
so
save
don't
this?
throw them away. You can make a tea or a
All
soup
right.
out with them. Okay, and so we will cut the shiitake.
Okay,
and
how would you like these? Like this?
Yeah, just slice them right up. And I like them kind of thick, just like that. It's
All right.
ideal. And meanwhile, we are roasting almonds, and the almonds should be roasted separately. And we
right.
brown the almonds. We'll add those in later. So this is an extremely simple recipe, and it's universally usable for a wide variety of dishes.
Let's keep our eye on this, or we're going to have burned ones. All right, good.
Okay,
Next one.
Then we have maitake.
Wow.
Or hen of the woods.
Hen of the woods, right
yep,
here?
Yep, cut it flush.
look
The
at this.
entire mushroom is edible.
Wow.
And it has
Look at this.
incredible zones in it, growth zones that are really amazing.
Oh, Jesus, it's beautiful too.
Yeah.
Look at the color and all these. I tell you, and these are the most fun of all the mushrooms to work with.
This is
because
my
they
favorite edible
just-
mushroom.
Is it really?
Yeah, this is my
easy?
favorite. It's a polypore. Doesn't have gills.
Wow.
And then we have this tooth fungus called lion's mane.
Okay.
And there's a bag over here that's
Okay.
growing.
You
So
see
why don't we
this
grab
one?
that if we can?
You want to use this guy?
Yeah, and just kind of
look
pop
at-
it off.
Oh boy.
And there's 2 ways you can do it. You can just go ahead and lift it gently like
Go
this,
ahead.
and pop it like
oh
this.
my God! Look at
And
that.
it comes off, and this is a nice half-pound cluster.
Oh
and
my
this
gosh.
mushroom is superb in combination with these other 2.
Now-
So we're creating a mushroom mosaic of flavors.
Well,
here.
how expensive are these? I know Mazutaki. What we.
Maitake is probably $15 to $20 a pound.
Mm-hmm.
Shiitake is $7 to $12. Lion's mane is in the $7 to $12 range also. But if you buy a kit, there's an advantage in that you get the mushrooms for wholesale and you have the joy and pleasure of growing them, and especially because they're so fresh.
Oh boy, that's incredible.
Okay, so we're going to
now
harvest all the mushrooms.
How do you want these cut? Now,
Okay, also sliced is
Okay.
fine.
now you know. This,
But also breaking it, and what you're doing now, you're a connoisseur chef.
I
Because
love that.
it's much better to
Yep.
break mushrooms than it is to cut them,
Yep.
because they break naturally along the cell lines,
exactly.
and it
Look
retains
at
the
this.
flavor. So when you cook them, it captures the flavor inside the mushrooms.
Okay.
So when you pop the mushrooms in your mouth, you get this flavor burst.
and the
this
drier,
explosion.
the drier they get, the more they string.
Yeah.
Could you flip that a little bit?
Sure.
Just-
And the other thing that happens, I'm not very experienced at this, you can tell.
Okay.
The other thing that most people don't realize is that shiitake mushrooms, the flavor is potentiated as they dry out. So shiitake mushrooms, especially Asian peoples, have long ago discovered that dried shiitake mushrooms are better flavored than fresh ones. So if you let shiitake mushrooms dry, especially on the counter or even in your refrigerator for a few days, the flavor gets stronger and stronger.
Okay, that's a great hint there. Now,
Okay.
now let's get back to this for
Right.
1 second. There's another name. Now the Chinese use these, and they call them the brown mushroom,
Mm-hmm.
the dried brown mushroom. And if you go to Chinese grocery stores in Chinatown, they have these big bags of
Right.
mushrooms, and that's the shiitake.
Right.
Correct. Okay. So all cultures, Japanese, Chinese.
Most Asian cultures
Asian
have a
cultures.
long history and a long affection for shiitake because they have aphrodisiacal properties,
Oh, here we go.
and as well as many other interesting,
Everything has that
compounds. Yeah.
nowadays, you know.
Well, it's true.
It
It's
makes
true.
it sell. It's okay. Hey.
Okay, so in the lion's mane, I like to cut crossways to the cascading spines. So
Okay.
rather than cut them parallel to the spines, I like to cut them crossways to
Okay,
the
you
spines.
want to show me?
Yeah, just cut them like this.
Can we see this okay, boys?
And they kind of fall apart at first, but
Oh,
then they come
wow.
into little dials. And I have to cut them like this. And these are very, very high in moisture content, so we like to cook these first or in a separate pan because they're about 95% water, but the flavor is just superb.
Can these be eaten raw?
You shouldn't eat any mushrooms raw because the
Wow.
cells are not digestible in your gut very well unless they're tendered by heat. No mushrooms should be eaten raw.
Even the store-bought, the white
even
champignon
the store-bought mushroom should not be eaten
that can be
raw.
taken off. Thank you.
Even though they may have good flavor, they have virtually no nutritional benefit whatsoever.
Well, me and my friend David have been eating some raw.
Well, you can eat them raw, that's fine, but if you're going to survive on them, you wouldn't last very long.
Okay.
You need to tenderize them with heat because the enzymes in your stomach cannot digest the cell structures of mushrooms unless they're tenderized with heat.
Okay, we learned something here. Okay, when we come back, we're going to start cooking. All right. Okay, we're going to start cooking, and we're going to put a little, enough?
Yep, a splash of olive oil.
All right, now let's fire this baby up. Okay, we're going to do this one first.
Okay.
The maitake.
We'll do the maitake first.
All right. We'll let that get hot for just a little
I
bit.
like the
Now-
sound of sizzling. I mean, it's
Okay.
really important.
No.
I like to cook these mushrooms. They're 90% water or more, so I like to cook out most of the water until what I call they're light brown on the edges.
A little crispy?
A little bit crispy on the edges.
Okay, now-
At that point, it potentiates the flavor.
Let me tell everybody what we're doing here. We are cooking these the easiest possible way,
Right.
so we can really taste the flavor. Okay, that's what mushrooms are all about. Each mushroom has its own flavor. Each one can be used differently. Like you said, this one has a lobster flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So this is called a mushroom tasting.
Right.
Okay. Good.
Every mushroom species has a flavor signature, and then when you put them on top of each other, you create a mosaic.
Oh, boy.
That's incredible. So,
Wow.
And
Okay, here we go.
go ahead.
It's hot enough.
Sure, go ahead. That's fine. One
Boy.
other big advantage of growing mushrooms from a kit is you don't have sand and dirt and bugs and the rest of the
But
earth.
wait a minute, the bugs are my favorite part. I love the bugs. You mean no bugs in here?
Yeah, no bugs,
You mean
you know?
no sow bugs?
And-
I'm disappointed.
And no cleaning. I mean, the mushrooms are perfectly clean when they
And
come
no
out of the
grit
kit.
and no
Yeah.
sand to grit your teeth in? Oh, that's a shame. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's a big advantage. No washing either.
Right, no washing.
mean,
It's
this
not
is real
good to wash
clean.
mushrooms because they're already so full of water. When you start washing them, they absorb the water, and then you have to cook the water out of them again. So,
Holy smokes, it's giving off a fantastic smell. Wow. These were absolute delight to cook. The one we got from back east. Apparently it's a big business back there too. They get these big wild ones. These guys go back every year for the same tree and they're harvesting them. It's pretty interesting.
mushroom patches are treasured and they're highly protected, and it's very difficult for as you well know, to get people to show them your favorite mushroom patches.
That's right.
So, yet another advantage of growing them at home.
That's good. Well, look at this. Okay, this cooks real easy.
Okay, I like to add about halfway through a touch of sesame oil. Okay, and this is very, very simple. And if you want to add scallions at the end, that's fine too.
Now, there's hardly any moisture in these.
Yeah, well, this one has much less moisture than the lion's mane, which has the most.
Okay.
And the shiitake is just in between the two of them. Okay. The lion's mane, you'll see, just becomes like a soup. There's so much water that comes out of it.
Wow. So, Paul, how long have you been into mushrooms now? You're one of the main people in the world, though.
I got into it when I was very young, about 17 years of age. And
Did your parents tell you not to touch mushrooms? Is that how
right, they told me not to touch mushrooms because there are toadstools and they could kill you, and that puffballs would blind you if the spores got in your eyes, and all those myths, which are not true.
I have a friend that had his parents did the same thing, and he ended up getting into, David Aurora, right?
Right.
His parents told him, stay away from him.
Right.
Well, that's where David went, right for him.
All right.
Okay, oh, look at
Okay,
that.
look at that. See, it's turning nice light brown on the edges, and that's what I like. And this is real close to the time that I add just a tablespoon of sesame oil,
Okay,
and that'd be a good time.
keep it at high heat.
Yes, you should always cook mushrooms at really high heat. Medium high to high heat. Just about a teaspoon to tablespoon. That's good. Sesame oil is very, very strong in its flavor.
Okay,
Looking good.
looking real good, smelling real good too.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, and now the options are open. You can add any type of vegetables, etc., on top of this. This is the simplest way of cooking them, and I like to add it to pasta, or you can add it to other stir fries, or on top of chicken, or especially on top of salmon. I love to bake salmon. In the last 5 minutes of baking salmon, I'll add this directly on top of the salmon and then encase it. In that last 5 minutes, and the flavor of the mushrooms go whoosh right into the salmon, and it's primo.
Okay. We might be having that for dinner.
Okay.
Paul's going to be our guest for a couple of days, and I can tell you we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to put some almond in because the almond sounds like it's a natural catalyst.
They combine so nicely.
Yeah.
The flavors really combine well.
Okay, let's do this. This is ready. And let me turn that off. Put the rest of the nuts here. And then we'll do the next one. And when we come back, we're going to do the next dish. Okay, we're moving on to the next mushroom. Now, Paul says add a little bit of oil. Now, this is the one that's going to go...
It has lots of water, and so we have to cook out the water.
Okay.
Now, this is called lion's mane, but many people also know it as monkey's head.
And what else? There's other names too, right?
Bear's head.
Bear head.
You know, monkey's head, sheep's head. I mean, they're all basically the same, you know, long, cascading, icicle-like forms. This mushroom is truly the only mushroom that I know that has a strong lobster or shrimp-like flavor.
Wow.
But it doesn't have this flavor, I found, unless you add butter at the end. Otherwise, it tastes like eggplant.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's very bizarre. But it binds up with butter, and then it tastes like lobster. It's very
Look
strange.
at this.
Now, this mushroom has gained some notoriety recently because there's a novel compound that's been isolated from it. And this is particularly interesting, I'm sure, to you as well as to me, because it contains a compound that stimulates nerve endings in the brain to grow.
Oh, I need that.
You need that.
You're right.
It is called a nerve growth stimulant factor. And this is real exciting because it is thought that as we get older, of course, our brains no longer grow. And so this is an exciting area of research, especially in treating Alzheimer's, et cetera.
Wow.
Very new information. Just several patents have been pulled just recently.
Amazing. And this has been around for how long?
Lion's mane mushrooms have been collected for hundreds of years. Most of our knowledge of these wood decomposers comes from Asia. And there's a long history of use of these mushrooms in Asia, more so than elsewhere.
So they've been cultivating this in Asia for quite a while.
Well, no, probably only for about 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
no
shiitake
kidding.
for about 40 years on sawdust, but probably about 100 years now on logs outdoors.
Wow.
So there's two ways of cultivating all these mushrooms, either on sawdust indoors or on logs outdoors. And our company sells the information and spawn for doing both. See now how they're cooking down? They're getting softer and softer. And at this stage, I really think they have too much water in them. So I like to cook them there and dry them out a little bit more.
Okay, look, just about where you
Yeah,
want it?
it's cooking for about 5 minutes now.
Okay.
Now we're going to add a touch of butter. And this brings out, for some reason, the lobster-like flavor.
Okay.
And then just a tiny bit of soy sauce. Yep, that's perfect.
Boy, it
Now,
smells
see that? Isn't that strange?
very different.
Now this lobster flavor comes out.
My.
And, I don't understand it. I don't understand why this works this way, but it does.
Jeez.
This is really good also on wheat crackers, if you just want to serve it on crackers, etc.
I can't wait to taste it. I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
Now you can add some almonds in.
Okay, let's do the almonds again. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
All right.
And there you go.
Okay, that's another
Then
one.
we've got dish number 2.
Good. Dish number 2. Okay, when we come back, we're going to do the next one. Okay, the next one is going to be the shiitake.
Shiitake.
Right. Okay. Geez, I wish we had a few more of these. Well, oh my God! Look who's here!
I was just walking along, I saw this atrium with the door open, and there's all this shiitake in there. Incredible. Wow. Gorgeous ones, absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, David, thank you very much. Boy,
Okay,
these,
well-
man, I tell you, your timing's perfect. Look at this. Folks, this is David Aurora, another famous mushroom man, author of Mushrooms Demystified, and another book, Everything the Forest Has to Offer. And David, thank you so much.
Oh,
it's really nice.
pleasure.
Okay, we can use a couple
I get
more.
to taste some.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks, David. That was a nice surprise, wasn't it?
There you go. You
Okay.
need some more?
Yeah, let's cut up a few more because
Okay, remember to save the stems.
Everyone
because if you
loves
want to make a
these.
soup stock or a tea later on.
Wow.
There's nothing better.
a tea. Oh, that's nice.
Well, what's the difference between a tea and a soup?
Well,
It all,
actually,
it's a matter of an opinion.
that's right. Good thought there. You're right.
And actually, in making a tea or a soup, you're doing a water extract, and a lot of the medicinal compounds are water soluble.
Okay, we're gonna
Okay.
do oil in here.
Yep,
Is
a little
that
bit of
how you
oil.
like it? Okay, a little bit of olive oil. Okay, now these are gonna cook up very interesting.
Now, this is the best species to introduce to your friends and family who are a little bit chagrined about experimenting with mushrooms. I like to introduce this one first because it has a real strong meat-like flavor. And even though I'm a vegetarian, I confess I love the flavor of meat, and I love mushrooms because they give me that meat-like flavor.
Wow. Okay. Well, these are the ones you see most often in the restaurants. And these cook up very nice too. They have a real nice texture to them.
Now, there's several. You can stop after 2 minutes of cooking, or you can cook these for 10 minutes. And there's a flavor change progressively as the longer that you cook them, the stronger the meat-like flavor. So at first they're kind of tart, and they progressively get stronger and stronger and more nutty in their flavor as you cook
Okay.
them.
And how about the dried ones now? Now that has a almost a, I don't want to say musty flavor.
spicy
Is it
flavor,
spi-
yeah.
Is that the word I'm looking for?
It's because the outside of the cap there, the outside cells, as they dry, they go through this biochemical change, and that's where the flavor is captured.
Okay.
So that's why donko shiitake, ones that are grown on logs outdoors,
Yes.
They tend to have cracked caps. The caps are cracked through with lines.
I
And
see.
those mushrooms have a much stronger, meaty flavor than ones that don't have cracked caps. So I like to keep my shiitake in the refrigerator for a week and let them curl up and dry, and that's when I like to cook them the most. Is when they get older in the refrigerator. They're stronger flavored.
And the flavor comes out.
The flavor
even
comes
stronger.
out. It's the only mushroom that I know that gets better as it ages.
Amazing. Well, there it is, huh?
You're
right?
a
Pull 'em
master
out.
mushroom chef.
Oh boy.
And it's perfect because
Well.
they're slightly brown on the edges there. But what you've done that's that is excellent is the mushrooms are cut fairly thick, and so the outside layer has been singed and is cooked well, but the inside moisture is preserved. So when you bite into the mushrooms, you get this flavor burst,
Oh my.
and that's what you want.
Ooh. And speaking of flavor burst, folks, that brings me up to the next subject of our Monterey County Wines, which is one of our sponsors. And this is an alternate to the Chardonnay, and everyone loves Chardonnay, but Monterey County has been making some beautiful Pinot Blanc. It's absolutely delicious. It will go with these mushroom dishes like you won't believe. It has the bouquet. I mean, look at the beautiful color, And again, the name is Pavona. It is Monterey County, folks. Okay? Paul, thank you very much. Folks, we're going to eat, taste,
Honor and pleasure.
drink. I love my job.